Welcome to Under Two Capes. I'm Jared.
And I'm Lad.
And for first off, I think it's Lad's back in the studio after years and years and years being snapped.
Right. It's been a while. It's nice to be back because we've been doing Zoom calls and I've been a bit sporadic. I've been pretty busy, but it's nice to be back in the studio. It's pretty comfy in here.
Good to see you, man. How have you been?
Pretty good. Just, getting close to finishing off that semester. So it's just that last couple bit of grind there.
Yeah. Trust me, I don't miss that.
Yeah.
All right. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about the Discovery merger because an article came out on Variety that is talking about how Warner Brothers Discovery wants to overhaul DC Entertainment. Lad and I were talking about this before we started recording, and we said, well, they certainly can't do worse than what's been done.
That is something we said that you can't make it worse because, like we said, sidelining the big two characters, Batman and Superman, is already the worst case scenario. You can't do worse than that. So,
trust me, give Warner Brothers a chance. They'll do more. So we're going to go through the article, and should we share a screen, or do you think we're good?
I think it's okay to share the screen, at least for a little bit. We can get help.
Let me do this. All right, so we are here. So we are going to, our computer will be there. Let me just move this.
So we're just gonna cover this article.
We'll go through the article on Variety and then we'll talk about it. So the new owners of all things Batman, is that a good guess?
Good.
Okay, good. The new owners of all things Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are exploring an overhaul of DC Entertainment. Multiple sources close to the situation told Variety. Now, by overhaul, I mean they're looking at all of DC, not just the movies, all comics, marketing, everything. That's key to understand what's going on here. It's been less than a week since Discovery closed its deal. We don't have to go through that. David Zaslav, the CEO of the combined companies, and top leadership have been toying the idea of turning DC into its own solidified content vertical. So what that essentially means is DC would be independent of interference from Warner Brothers proper or Discovery proper. In other words, it would be like Marvel Studios has now in terms of its relationship to Disney.
Right.
Which that's one of the good things that's going on here, because it's like one of the issues with DC is there's been too much interference, whether or not that's with the Snyderverse or with their film division in general. So it's nice to know that under this new system, they won't be able to interfere with what goes on with the DC films or even the DC content. Okay. The move would potentially affect DC feature film development in the Warner Brothers Pictures Group, streaming services at Warner Brothers Television, and the creative arm within DC proper, all in an effort to have the disparate elements more closely aligned in order to maximize the value of the superhero stable, often seen as punching up against Marvel for no reason. There's no reason why DC should be here and Marvel should be here. If anything, they should be like right about here.
Marvel.
Maybe a little bit more on the DC side.
Well, I mean, maybe. I don't know about that.
DC has more quality characters. I will die on that hill.
On your left.
Oh, you are on my left. So there you go.
Yeah.
Before the merger closed, Zaslav vetted candidates with experience in creating and nurturing blockbuster intellectual property with a goal of potentially finding someone to serve as a creative and strategic czar, similar to what Marvel has in Kevin Feige. This is another thing that they need because the thing about the MCU, and you can tell me what you think about this, Lab, what they really had in their corner was one guy with the creative vision behind everything. I know there were articles that came out that said that Kevin Feige really didn't have a plan with the MCU, but the point is that there's one guy saying this is the direction we're going in. Where DC, here we have like 8 different people dictating the direction of the movies and the content.
No, I agree. And I think that's definitely a strong suit of Marvel. Each movie has its own independent directors and producers. They come up with this, they have a lot of story plots, but there's someone overseeing everything, that like Kevin Feige, the man in charge. He's making sure that everything connects together, the plot threads, like, okay, yeah, you have your own creative control, but you have to fall in this bounds. This has to connect here. You have to include this in this little spot. Like, he makes sure everything runs smoothly together. And I think that's a good thing. That's really helpful.
Yeah, that's what you definitely need, because you don't want one movie contradicting another movie, which contradicts another movie.
I compare him to, like, he's like the Dave Filoni of Marvel.
Yeah,
like,
pretty
Dave
much.
Filoni, he's kind of like the guy that he does the TV shows and he makes sure they connect together, connect with the movies. He's doing the Mandalorian stuff.
Star Wars in general, and will all be. That's what I'm convinced that if they put him in charge of Star Wars, problem solved.
Dave Filoni.
Insiders say Zaslav believes that the success of the merger, when it has left the company highly leveraged, will rest in no small part in unlocking the full potential of the DC Comics universe of characters. That right there says we have these really important characters, which, by the way, the Superman and Batman logos are more recognizable than the Christian cross. And
money.
Yes, exactly. Warner Brothers hasn't done anything with these characters. How long has it been since a solo Superman movie? Or a solo Batman movie?
It's been a while.
Over 10 years for the Superman movie. That should not happen.
Yeah, it's been 10 years from Batman. Like, we finally got a Batman movie, but like it's literally been 10 years. It's not even this Ben Affleck, which we've been seeing for a while now, and we're hoping to get.
And people clearly like. So it's like,
there's definitely some people that would have been interested in a movie.
Exactly. That's why there's that hashtag make the Batfleck movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Discovery insiders believe that although DC has achieved cinematic success with the recent films such as Aquaman and the Batman, it lacks a coherent creative and brand strategy. That's true, because that's why I always tell people I hate Zack Snyder. At least he had a plan. And it looks like he would have been the Kevin Feige of the Snyderverse because it's his universe, but still. They also believe that projects like Todd Phillips' The Joker are a shining example of how second-build characters from the DC library can and should be exploited. In other words, what they're saying is that we can have the shared universe, but also have these one-off movies, which that's a fantastic idea, because Marvel doesn't have that. It's all the interconnected movie universe, where they should be also going into the other thing, because it can be creatively stifling to have to resign this. Because, and they should tell the creatives, do you want to be in this universe or this universe? Either one is fine with us. It's just we just have to make sure where to put you. You can have someone that says, okay, I want to do Joker in this. Okay, cool. Can I do Harley Quinn in the Snyderverse or something like that?
Can I do Wonder Twins in the 1966 Batman universe?
You could probably do that in this lineup. You could probably make a Batman 66 movie.
Yes, we'll just deep fake
all the guns shoot like the flags that say "pow."
We'll deep fake Adam West and bring him back.
DC has started to figure out ways for its big screen films to inspire more streaming content. The recent examples including the Peacemaker show, which was a spin-off of the Suicide Squad, as well as the upcoming planned series for the Penguin and the Gotham State Police Force. But the company believes that DC must do more to grow its approach to comic book fare, include bolstering gaming, which is when we have like the Justice League versus the Suicide Squad movie. They could do more with the Arkham games. And then we're also talking about, I'm just going through this, but they also talk about, they also talk about how a lot of their primary characters like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman have been left to languish recently, not only in the comics, because like in the comics, okay, that's fine. But in the movies, it's like Superman, again, we haven't had a Superman movie in over 10 years. Yeah. And then we have like the rumors that Warner Brothers has done, even if they're not true, Warner has done nothing to like dispel those rumors.
Right.
Because they shouldn't allow a rumor to go around if it's not true that Supergirl is going to replace Superman.
Yeah. And, there's a lot of people that might actually believe that because, Superman hasn't really been in anything since the theatrical Justice League.
Technically, he was in Shazam.
It was someone else. But
and
like,
Peacemaker.
Henry Cavill hasn't been around since the theatrical Justice League.
And he's been very vocal saying, I want to come back. Give me the suit.
Yeah, just give me like...
Yeah, so anyway, that's all I really want to address from the article. So, Lad, thoughts?
Right. So this definitely seems, we kind of were hoping for this, or we were expecting something like this to happen because, Zaslav, how do you pronounce that?
Zaslav.
Zaslav, yeah. He definitely, he's known for do these types of things. What do you say? He's cleaned house in other places.
He has fixed a lot of IP, like 7 other IPs. So this dude knows what he's talking about.
Right. And DC obviously can and should compete on the level of Marvel, and they
at least on par.
At least on par. And like we said, that DC has really great characters that could exceed Marvel characters, and DC characters have been known for much longer than Marvel characters. You know,
oh yeah,
the Superman
started the whole superhero genre.
Yeah, you know, the classic, you know, was 70s or movies or
then
Christopher Reeves. Yeah, like, you know, they have long history. A lot of people, different age groups know of them. He's got to appeal to the new demographics, so, and
which they easily can because the Snyderverse was popular, not just with the Zack Snyder fans. Everyone loved it.
So DC definitely needs. I think this is good news for DC that he wants to create like a DC Studios. They have a vertical.
What they need.
Right. They have a vertical chain where they just control everything on all levels. You know, the film, they control their TV.
It's creatives creating, free of interfering from executives that don't know these universes.
Right. And I think it would be better for everyone because DC, you know, HBO, I mean, Warner Bros. Discovery will be making money. Their investors will be happy. We'll be happy as fans because we'll be getting, you know, movies that we want to see characters
content
of.
Recognition and stuff.
Right.
So now I also want to talk about how this affects the comic book arm because it's obviously going to affect the movie realm. But remember, this is talking about DC Entertainment as a whole.
Right. So what's your take on that? What do you think could happen to our?
I think what they're going to do is going to say, bring Clark Kent back, get rid of John Kent. He's not replacing Clark Kent.
Do you think they're going to de-age him? Like,
I think they could reboot and eliminate the character entirely.
Really?
Unless they put John Kent in the movies, they're not going to have him in the comics. Okay. You know, they're going to make it more synergized with the movies,
right? Which
is better because you don't want. Because remember, when the MCU started off, All New World Different Marvel was in full swing.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So really, the way I could see this happening is that we have Dark Crisis coming up, or I think it just started. It's going to reboot everything. Right. Excuse me, and then that's going to be where they start. They're going to make the reality more in tune with the movies, which I'm fine with because you know what, it should be like that.
Yeah, definitely.
And like Marvel more or less does that. I mean, there's sometimes where it like veers in terms of storyline, but mostly the characters act like they do in the comic books and so on. So I think DC needs that. Now,
you think it could fix up some of it? Because we've been talking about the movies having issues for a while. You know, like there's obviously no direction. You know, we talked a little bit about DC Comics, how they're just all over the place ever since, you know, Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, whatever it was, like Dark Knight, Death Metal, Infinite Frontier. Where are we on now? Infinite.
It was still in the Infinite Frontier era thing. But I think it's going to lead to more reforms on the storylines because here's the thing, and they're going to stop replacing storylines or making all these like political statements and like gender and sexuality bending of characters because that doesn't sell. It's demonstrable that these stunts don't sell. And Zaslav is going to say, why aren't our comics selling? And he's going to see it's all this.
Because I've heard that from some people that the comics industry has been really bad lately, especially, you know, DC and Marvel, but, you know, we're talking about DC
sales.
DC sales have been really low. Manga sales are super high. And, you know, why is it that your most memorable characters can't sell their comic books? You know?
Exactly. And I was talking to Max Priestley about this, and we were talking about, so Wonder Woman is the most famous female superhero of all time. But how many famous comic book arcs does she have?
I honestly could not.
There's
name
like
a
one that
storyline.
I can, but that's just because I read her stuff that I thought were pretty good. But there's none like you can't like say if you look at Superman, also Superman. Look at Batman, Dark Knight Returns,
Death of Superman,
Death of Superman. That's correct. But Wonder Woman doesn't have that like. I guess it's kind of like brand recognition in the sense. So I get the feeling that DC is probably, and this is also going to, I think, reform the way DC does their comic book business. And that I get the feeling there's not going to be like 80 Batman titles. So probably going to say you have to actually, because what DC does with that is that they do the books that sell, which is Batman, to offset the subpar books that they make for the other characters. So I think they're going to do is Discovery is going to tell them, okay, start making quality books for the other characters, sell comics, or we'll do it for you.
So you think they were going to like try to streamline it, like cut off all the extra books, like try to kind of like what they did with New 52, where it said 52
have a
books,
Batman,
you know?
have a Superman book, have the Justice League members should have books, the Justice League, and then you could do like the occasional Elseworld book, but stop with like 4,000 derivatives of characters.
I mean, it's a little confusing. I mean, definitely, and you know, if they get they started off right. They kind of clean it up. They can expand into more stuff, but right now it's all over the place.
Clean it up first.
Yeah.
Or what you could just do, if you want to have a Nightwing story, have it as a backup at the end of a Batman story. That's what you can, or yes, they should be clean up your continuity. We're only going to publish let's see, how many members of the league are there?
6 or 7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's like
7 or so.
Let's say 7, 8 books,
right?
One for each member of the league, and then essentially a Justice League book, and then for the Green Lantern book. They can have it where like each comic features a different Lantern, so it's not just all like Hal Jordan or Guy Gardner. But in other words, and then with the different Bat Family members, you can have like them show up in the Batman book and have it be like a Batman team up book. But we can't have like 8,000 families on the Batman. We can't have like Batman Phantoms, Batman whatever, Batman. I'm a completely superfluous book,
right? And continuity is something that'd be nice. Say what you will about the New 52, but at least it clean things up and made things a little better.
Here's the problem with the New 52 as an example. Yes, it did that for everyone except Batman and Green Lantern.
Oh, well, yeah.
Because they kept what sold.
Right.
And that's the problem. Because like they said, like take for instance, they said Blackest Night happened. But I'm like, half those characters don't exist in this continuity.
Listen, I mean,
what are you doing?
But Green Lantern's kind of more in space, so it doesn't really affect them as much.
True, but Blackest Night happened on Earth.
I know, but and then Batman is Batman, so he managed to do all this.
So you're telling me in 5 years he has back broken, he lost 5 Robins. What are you talking about?
Because he's
this is a very eventful 5 years.
Batman, okay, he managed to compress his timeline down or something like that. Okay.
Yeah, but my point is that you need 100% a reboot. Saying we're rebooting, nothing carries over.
Oh man, that's kind of tough.
Nothing.
Okay, so my question is,
go ahead. Do like what Marvel did with the Ultimate Universe. Have a rebooted continuity, completely rebooted, like the Earth 1 books. Follow that. Yeah. And then also have your and then also clean up your regular continuity, but like you don't necessarily have to like start from day one.
Right. Okay, so my question is for you and for the viewers.
Yes, to the comments.
We know that they also had Dark Knight's Death Metal, not Crisis recently, and then
it's a crisis.
It's a crisis, and then they have the whole Infinite Frontier, and now they're doing like multiverse and omniverse and all this crazy stuff, and now all of a sudden we're getting the Dark Crisis coming up, and
the omniverse is going away. I guarantee you that's going away.
Right now the continuity is like out of control, insane in DC. I have no idea what's going on. And
nothing.
Do you think that they could clean up stuff maybe with a new head, new direction? Do you think they just hard reboot, like New 52, like but more like all the way? Or do they kind of just do what Marvel did, kind of fix things and kind of continue on? What do you think?
Okay, so there's 2 ways they could do this.
Okay, what do you think they will do, and what do you think they should do? 2-part question.
That's a good question. Okay, so what I think they will do.
People down in the comments also.
Yes, please put that in there. Okay, so let me answer it this way. What they will do, is depends on what they do with the movies. Okay. If they do a full reboot in the movies, they're going to do a full reboot in the comics.
Okay.
Because remember, content synergy, or they could somehow do it. What I want them to do, let me answer that. What I want them to do is full reboot both.
Really?
And then have like for the movies, multiverse. So it could say, okay, the Snyderverse is here. We're going to do Snyder stuff here, but it's not going to be connected to our main connected universe.
Right.
And then we'll have like the other films here. In other words, we're not going to like say, no, we're not going to abandon anyone. Anyone can come here and do a movie.
Yeah.
They just have to tell us, do they want to be in this continuity and this continuity, except for Whedon.
Can Josh Whedon be allowed back into
I should kick you out of this podcast right now. I will kick you out of this podcast right now. But anyway, in terms of the comics, hard reboot. I think they need a hard reboot, like New 52, Flashpoint style reboot, where no one remembers what happened. Or move the main Earth to another Earth, or just do something.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do a softer reboot, but with Rebirth, that didn't exactly work out as well. I think, honestly, at this point, with the way the continuity is, first off, get rid of the freaking omniverse. That makes no sense that everything is canon.
Yeah, that's...
The heck? So you're telling me that, like, Wonder Woman's 8,000 origins are canon all at the same time?
That stone statue one is my origin. That's the real origin.
I do like how in the movie they made it out like that's the real origin, but then they just flipped it. No, she's the
I
daughter
like
of
that.
Zeus.
Yeah.
I prefer the daughter of Zeus origin myself, but my point is that they're gonna. Honestly, really, I could see them doing like if they want to sell it, and if they're gonna do it in a way that they're not relying on Batman, they have to do a hard reboot.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do a hard reboot and have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and have 7 books for the members of the Justice League.
Right.
Have only the popular members on the Justice League, and in the Justice League book, you can have like if you want to introduce a new character, you can put them on the League.
Right.
Like if you want a Green Arrow book, just put them on the League and just have them show up for like a couple of issues, and that's it. But you really have, and you also need more communication among the different groups. So there's not like the Green Arrow book is contradicting the Batman book, or is contradicting the Superman book.
Yeah,
you need more communication, is what I'm saying here.
Right.
What do you think? What do you think they'll do, and what do you want them to do?
I think that they're gonna probably just do like a soft reboot, and they're gonna try to
soft and not hard.
Then it's not a hard reboot. I think that's what they will do. I don't think they will pull another New 52. I think they're just gonna do soft reboot, kind of just like brush away all the multiverse stuff, complicated stuff like under the rug, and kind of just clean up stuff after Dark Crisis, hopefully. What I want them to do, I think it'd be good for them to kind of soft fix things and not do like a full reboot from scratch. I feel like it might be too soon to do like a hard reboot. Maybe like
can I explain one thing?
Yeah.
By a hard reboot, I don't mean start from like Superman or writing on her.
Oh, okay.
I mean start it like say they're already superheroes.
Yeah.
So the League exists. We don't have to do the origins anymore. But like all of the concepts that they established, like John Kent's Superman. Mm-hmm. Maybe keep Yara Flora because she's actually pretty popular. Mm-hmm. Take everything that's not popular, like Jackson Hyde replacing Aquaman, and throw that away and say that didn't happen. None of the characters even reference that. He's Aqualad. If you want to keep John Kent, just put him as Superboy or something like that. Don't take away all the vestiges of Bendis in Superman, and then you're good to go.
There you have it.
Take away the freaking identity reveal.
Which one?
When that's what Bendis did.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, dude,
it sells well for one comic, but then
comic, yes, but then it's like, the heck did you do?
And all of a sudden
why aren't Lois and John, why isn't Lois constantly being kidnapped and held at ransom?
Oh, does that happen or no?
No, it should happen.
Oh yeah, like
why isn't the Daily Planet being bombed? Because everyone knows he works there.
Right, because if his identity is revealed, it's like Spider-Man. Like
that's why he get the identity.
Yeah, like the second Spider-Man reveals his identity, everything goes bad, and then it's
we have a movie where that happened to Spider-Man.
Yeah, and it's man. Okay, so
what?
So DC Comics. Do you think that if they clean up their continuity a little bit, maybe it doesn't have to be like crazy hard reboot, but they clean up the continuity, get rid of stuff that doesn't sell, push things that do sell, put good creatives on it.
Oh, also that's another thing. Get the good creatives back. Get the talent back. Because DC used to have like the best people. Writers like Jeff Johns, artists like Jason Fabok. Get more of the people that we love back instead of these amateurs.
Do you think that if they do that, do you think people will start to buy the comics again? Or do you think people will be interested in actually seeing if there was cool storylines, good stuff, not just trying to do whatever, Yeah,
100%. It'll take time. It's not just going to keep rushing back, but people will eventually start coming back. You start giving them a quality product again. Mm-hmm. That's why people were going to manga, because manga was more was not preaching to everyone on either side of the political spectrum. Let me be clear. I don't like preaching on any side. And manga was also more quality storytelling and art. That's the other thing, because there's plenty of artists that are doing art for Marvel and DC that should not be doing art for Marvel and DC. In other words, they don't know how to draw a face or a hand or anything like that. So I'm like, why are you here?
Oh, man.
Yes, I do think that if they get the quality back, then yes, 100% people are going to come back.
Right, because manga is selling incredibly well in the United States, and anime, its adaptations are really popular, and they become increasingly
live
popular.
Action movies,
right? Not the Netflix live action movies and stuff like that, or live action movies. But the anime is becoming extremely popular in the United States, and it's becoming more and more popular. You hear a lot of people talking about anime, like sometimes on the level of superheroes, and we could see a big influx of culture from Japan and the anime and manga world,
which is fine because it's quality stuff.
Right, it's cool
stuff.
It's cool stuff, but I wonder how that can affect DC. Like, now might be critical time for DC and for Marvel to clean up their stuff and do well. Because if they don't, manga and anime is really going to,
because we know the sales reflect that the mainstream comic book industry is not doing well.
Right. I mean, if manga and anime starts selling really well in America, they could start taking over the market that Marvel and DC Comics own in terms of comics, in terms of animation, in terms of maybe movies, just people who spend money on them.
Creative owned books like Indiegogo. I mean, I interviewed Gabe El Taib, and he's doing his own book. And it's like those books sell more than Marvel and DC does.
Right.
Creator-owned books on Indiegogo.
That's pretty incredible.
So I'm like, okay, at what point does DC decide that they made a mistake? That they really made a mistake?
Hopefully we'll
now let's talk a little bit about the marketing, because I really feel like that's part of the issue with DC, both in all of the areas.
Right.
Because here's the thing. Let's start with the comics, for the marketing for the comics, because the first thing they announced, the way they market the Dark Crisis thing is that the Justice League are going to die.
Right. Yeah.
And guess how the people reacted? So
not well.
And then they announced they're going to be back, and then everyone's like, "Really? You mean you're going to kill people and bring them back to life shortly thereafter? Really? That's never been done before."
That's Superman.
Yes, exactly. I was like, they have to stop using death to freaking market their characters. You know why? Because they know that's what sells.
Yeah, it's classic.
So that'll ultimately get down to them producing higher quality books, because they could do like a book that's like, they should do a Justice League Civil War that's in the continuity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't do Injustice. Just first off, stop doing Evil Superman. It's been done forever.
Man,
but they don't have to do an Evil Superman book.
Yeah.
To do a Justice League Civil War.
Right.
But here's the problem with Justice League Civil War: half the Leaguers are like God level.
Yeah.
That wouldn't exactly. As soon as I said that, I was like, wait a second, that wouldn't exactly be a Civil War, be a Civil Slaughter. Because at least when Marvel does it, most of their characters are like not gods.
Yeah.
Okay, but my point is, there are ways that they could do the marketing and not like say, we're gonna kill these people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What were you gonna say, lad?
No, I was just gonna say, I agree. That definitely needs to be some better, marketing on that.
Plus, let's face it, it's like going back to the movies. The marketing was super like not there, because remember, there was a rumor that Sasha Calle's Supergirl and Batgirl were gonna replace Batman and Superman. Even it was a rumor, not confirmed by anyone, and Warner Brothers didn't do anything.
Right.
Even if it's not true. If it's not true, come straight out and tell us.
Right. That's true. That's an issue. I would say the marketing on Suicide Squad was super on point, because they tricked me into go see the movie, but the Heathen song and everything seemed really hype. And
you're talking about Suicide Squad 2016.
The original, I'm talking the original Suicide Squad was super hype. The trailers was phenomenal. Got me in there. And
hashtag release the Ayer cut.
The movie wasn't great, but the song was really good.
Hashtag release the Ayer cut.
But
that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, have these rumors floating around that Superman and Batman may be exiting the shared universe, even though they haven't really done anything with them as of late. That's bad news.
Still, that's a rumor you don't want.
Right. Like, can you imagine, like, if, back after, like, Age of Ultron came out, if there were, like, rumors going around that, like, oh, Captain America, Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. may be leaving the MCU.
Not just them. Iron Man and Captain America.
Iron Man and Captain America will be leaving the MCU. They won't be showing up any more stuff. It's like, no one like would believe something like that. But, like, why would you think that? They're so successful. They're their headline characters. They're the tentpole characters. And the Marvel's not gonna do that. But with DC, they've mistreated Superman and Batman so much over the last couple of years that you actually wonder, could they just drop these actors and drop these characters from the shared universe and replace them with someone else like Supergirl? People are really in the dark, and people actually believe that might happen. Because
guess that leads to people not coming to see your movies because they think, well, they're just going to replace some of my favorite characters. Why am I going to go see this?
Right. It's it creates it doesn't create consumer confidence. It's inconfidence. They're nervous, and consumers want to go to see the movie, but they don't even know if their favorite movie will ever come out. They know, a Superman movie, what happens to Superman movie.
And then also, here's the thing. with the Snyderverse fandom, no, they don't utilize that fandom. They call it toxic and blast it. When guess what? That fandom single-handedly marketed the Snyder Cut because Warner Brothers did not do anything to market that movie. It was all the fans, and we know what happened with that movie.
The fans literally. Yeah, the fans.
Well, first of all, they conjured the movie from the first part.
They willed the movie into existence, basically. I mean, obviously, the fans created enough demand that HBO Max said, "Hey, if we put some money into this, it might be worth it for people that are willing to see it." And apparently, it did really well in streaming. And that was says there are people that want to see that, and the fans literally willed into existence this Oscar, even though the MCU is extremely popular. These Snyder Cut fans are so dedicated. They got that.
Let's talk about the Oscar thing real quick. It beat the Avengers Assemble moment and the 3 Spider-Men rolling the Matrix scene with Neo doing this.
Yeah.
I'm like,
well, I mean that shows like exactly the dedication of the Snyder Cut fans that they managed to overcome, the casual viewers
and wait a second,
of MCU.
When the Snyder Cut came out, it got a higher viewership than Falcon Winter Soldier.
Right.
It beat the MCU in viewership.
Yeah. So, that's obviously something that Discovery will keep an eye on. They can see that. But, you just don't want to create fear in your consumers. Like, you want your consumers to be excited about what's coming next. And like the fact that you have to question if Superman and Batman may be dropped out of your shared universe is unacceptable. That just should not be the case. Because like I said, you would never consider something like that in Marvel.
No.
In Marvel, and you know what's coming, you know what's exciting, there's gonna be mystery, but you never have to worry like, oh, they're just gonna drop this character. And they gave them proper send-offs in whatever way they could because they'd been there a long time. But now we're coming up 10 years of DCEU soon, and they have been no Superman sequel or Batman solo film, and they've already gone ahead and rebooted Batman technically.
If anything, the Trinity should at least have regular movies coming out.
Right. Like, can you imagine having the MCU without Iron Man, Captain America, or Thor movies?
Nope.
Like, what is that?
Like, that's right. All the important parts of the MCU really happened in those 3 trilogies.
Yeah, that is a lot of the big focus characters, because Hulk, Black Widow, and Hawkeye weren't really having that much.
Their stuff happened in the Avengers movies.
Yeah, their stuff happened in the Avengers movies, right? So it's just really unacceptable how DC's been treated, the films. And it's not like we're asking for them to get rid of all the movies that are coming up, but we just want to see the character.
There's room for multiple interpretations. Let me look this way: DC invented the multiverse.
Right.
They're used to having many different interpretations.
We just want to see the tentpole characters used properly, and we want to see the shared universe. It doesn't have to be as like super weavy and confusing, maybe as Marvel might be, but you still want to see it used instead of just fully abandoned. And
also, there's room for one-off movies like the Joker. You don't have to abandon that.
Right.
In fact, you shouldn't, because guess what? That can be a competitive advantage over Marvel, because Marvel, as far as I know, just does the MCU movies.
Right, and they just do the MCU movies. And there's no other TV shows now, live action TV shows, except for the ones in the MCU. Like they canceled all Netflix, all the Hulu, all the other stuff. So like everything is completely within the shared vision of the MCU, which is good, bad thing, could also be a bad thing.
It can be good, it can be bad, but I would argue it's more bad because if you don't want to watch like this 12 or it's like almost 20-year long like epic, no one really has the time for that. You should be able to like go, okay, I can watch like take DC if they brought back the show Krypton, let's say, and that was supposed to be in the Snyder Cam, but it's not. But my point is that let's say someone does not want to watch the DCEU, they could say, okay, I'll go watch Krypton or something like that. So I have something that I can watch. It's a self-contained story, so I can still get my superhero fix, but I can like wait until I have more time to really invest in knowing and like really diving into this shared universe.
And that's what DC's done, because DC has, they have their movie universe, they have the Arrowverse with doing stuff. They have some of the shows.
That's getting convoluted too.
Right. They have some of their shows on the HBO Max, like like Titans, and not everything has to be in the shared continuity, and it works for them. And that's what Marvel was doing, kind of, because they kind of had like they were in the MCU, but they weren't really as canon.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Inhumans and all that.
Runaways, some of the Netflix stuff. Like what they did for a while is when the MCU started, they said, okay, no more just like one-off TV shows like DC does that completely separate. Those shows were kind of like treated as semi-canon and were in the shared vision, but now they're tightening the belt even harder, where it's like everything is going to be canon or not, and we're not going to do anything unless it's strictly canon with the MCU. So all that other stuff is like
which that stifles creativity. That's why I think it's
like
good
to have
all this stuff. And you can have all you have to do is clearly tell people, okay, so this is not in the MCU.
Yeah.
This is in the MCU. Or like in terms of DC, this is a Snyderverse movie. This is not another movie.
I feel like that could also, it can really hurt the MCU, because if they ever do decide they want to try to do something separate now that isn't MCU, it's going to be confusing, because people will be like, why isn't this line up with people are going to be so used to it.
People are so used to the MCU. That's why DC has a good opportunity here, because they can differentiate themselves from DC instead of just saying, okay, so they're doing the shared universe because Marvel's doing it. But wait a second, they also have like these other movies like Joker and everything, and those movies do really well.
That's true.
It just annoys me, because it's like even the article says, Zaslav himself says, the potential is there, it's just being squandered.
Yeah,
because these are the most popular characters in all of fandom.
The next news we'll see is that Warner Bros. Discovery has sold DC property to Marvel Studios.
Well, then we'll get a DC versus Marvel movie. Yes,
exactly.
But can you imagine the Kevin Feige they bring in is like Zack Snyder? It won't happen, but can you imagine? That would be the biggest like middle finger to Warner Brothers, because remember how it's like he would have, it's like for Toby Emmerich, Walter Amati, he's like, guess who your boss is?
Yeah. Oh man, I don't know. I mean,
what do you think? Which way do you think is good to have like the movie universe and like occasional like black label like movies? In other words,
right? I think it works. I think people, not everyone goes to see every single Marvel film or go to every single DC film. We're obviously in the know, so we go to see most of them.
I kind of have to, because I have this show.
Right.
You people take up my time.
The average person doesn't go to see, I think, every single of the superhero films, right? No. They go see someone they recognize. Oh, Captain America. I'm going to go see Superman. It's been a while since I've seen one of those. It's
empires have risen and fallen in the less time than to get a sequel to Man of Steel.
I know. I think it's okay to have separate movies that aren't necessarily in the continuity, because it makes it a little bit easier.
But you can also have those shared universe, because that is fun. Because my dad and I recently watched all the MCU movies, and it is cool to see like all these movies build on each other.
Right.
Which DC has that thing, because DC had the multiverse first. So it's just at this point, it's because actually, let me put you this way, lad. How would you reform DC?
Oh, I guess I would probably,
in terms of, would you do everything David Zaslav is doing? Say you're Zaslav. What would you do?
So I would definitely start with, we're just gonna have to do a fresh reboot, honestly,
of the movies and the comics.
In terms of the comics, we probably would just do like at least a soft reboot, really clean up a lot. It wouldn't be a hard reboot. In terms of the movies, it's kind of difficult now. Like, I would want to do a hard reboot and just kind of clean up everything, but we have stuff that is successful, like Wonder Woman, Aquaman.
True.
Those, I guess Shazam kind of, even though it's smaller budget, but it still does well. It's kind of hard to do like a full reboot, like in the predicament we're in now, like to fix it, because you kind of have to keep going, or you just have to drop everything, and you don't want to drop everything. But I don't know. I guess I would try to like really try to get some continuity between the movies a little bit, kind of like help to really see that, oh, this is connected to this, just have a Justice League movie, have a team up movie. Even if you don't want to do Justice League, sure.
Batman, Superman.
Yeah, Batman, Superman team up, do some sort of team up, Aquaman and Wonder Woman together as, maybe Amazonians versus the Atlanteans would be really sick. It'd be nice to see some stuff like that. Some cosmic characters would be cool,
Green Lantern,
Martian Manhunter would be really cool.
Space Cabbie.
Yeah, they can do something exciting. I think that'd be fun. I think they could do something cool.
What I would do, hard reboot the comics. Like not completely to like day one, but hard reboot it so like I already mentioned this, all the BS that they've been doing is gone.
Right.
Gone. And I would make sure that, okay, if this person doesn't have a track record of selling comics, you don't get to write comics for DC.
What? But come on, man.
In other words, Mariko Tamaki, who really doesn't sell comics, she's not going to be allowed to make I am not Starfire 2. Because that's what DC has to do, because they have a lot of people in there that can't sell comic books. You're gone.
Yeah.
Or you don't get to write on Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, or anything like that.
You can take one of the minor characters. It's okay.
Yeah, you can write like Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Although arguably he's getting kind of big.
Obviously, he it's funny because literally he was a nobody. Now
James Gunn like grabbed like the back end of the DC encyclopedia.
Right. Like he actually might be like a mainstream charactor now.
He could become. DC is trying to make their own version of Deadpool, which is fine.
Right.
But my point is that if you can't write, you don't get Superman. Oh, and you have to respect the continuity. Bendis.
Nah.
Although he's not at DC anymore, thank God.
Yeah.
But and then in terms of the movies, I would make it more creative centric, but have the different camps. Like if Nolan comes back and says he wants to do like another Batman movie, which I would love, we could ask him, okay, do you want it to be in the shared universe or solo? Either one's fine. Just let us know. We'd probably do like his own. If you want to do your own shared universe, that's fine.
Right.
In other words, there's room for more than one shared universe. And people are going to detect, okay, this is the Nolan movies. This is the Snyder movies. As long as you see like Zack Snyder directs, there you go. You're done. And really, I would make sure that if there's a rumor going out that creates doubt in the future of any of our main characters, squash that the second it comes out.
Yeah. Right.
In other words, what Zaslav is doing and what DC's not doing is what I would do.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what you need.
Let's hope.
Now, here's the thing. You can have like alternate stories, like with Black Label. And I'm not saying that you can't like have occasions where like a writer will come on and write a comic book about a Joker or something like that. And it doesn't have to be in the continuity. I was saying for the main continuity. In terms of the Black Labels, I would bring that back because DC doesn't really do anything beyond Batman with that. And I would say that's for like our not main continuity books. They're not connected to really anything. You can just write a good story on any character you want. So what do you think of that plan, lad?
That sounds like a good idea. And I hope that they think about doing something like that. Zaslav and the rest of the new team that he's going to be setting up.
They also need to hire more editorial in order to edit these books and decide, okay, so this is not going to work. This is going to work. This is not the way the character would act.
No, I mean, it's legacy of this company. We're approaching what, like 80 or 90 years now of like Action Comics, and like 80 years or so of, the Marvel comics or so. These are legacy properties, and they're young, but they're also starting to get older, and you need to keep it fresh. You need to keep it moving. You don't want to let your, IP just like decay. And I feel like DC, they're doing some stuff like, oh, in the short term, it seems like a great idea to sell more, but it's hurting them in the long run. And we see like the sales dropping, you're hurting your brand. You don't want to hurt your brand, especially something that you want to keep going forever.
It shouldn't be Batman's the only DC book that sells. When you have Superman.
Yeah. Wonder Woman is is super popular, and that didn't just come from like comics, like because the movie was so mainstream.
The movie is what made her mainstream,
right?
And the movie is the reason why most people know who Wonder Woman is,
right?
now.
Like a lot of people like probably heard of Wonder Woman, like, oh, they like her, she's cool,
maybe.
Right? Maybe like from I'm thinking like Justice League Unlimited, shows like people.
I'm saying the non-comic book audience who wouldn't have seen that stuff.
No, but now Wonder Woman is all of a sudden like an icon, like of like a female
icon.
Stores
that sell Wonder Woman stuff,
right? Because her movie was legitimate good. That was something that we talked about. Like her movie was amazing, like amazing.
Her first movie,
like
the second movie, not so much.
Well, okay, that has some issues, but the first movie was phenomenal, and she's never had a theatrical movie before. And they came in and they blew it out of the park. They did a great job with making her she wasn't just like a female character. She was a character, period, who was female. She was a character, period. End of sentence.
She's happy to be a female.
She happened to be female, and they did a great job with it. And it was a really great movie. Had its own tone that was a little different from other stuff, and it was a great story. Really enjoyed it. And she's an icon. A lot of people know her. A lot of girls look up to her, and she's like a superhero, and that's a female character. We never got Black Widow until way later, so Marvel really dropped the ball. Or Captain Marvel, I guess, but that was still late.
Although Black Widow is supposed to come out
right
Civil War.
That Wonder Woman was a great character, and she's iconic now. Like she's iconic like Superman and Batman is, and with the current generation she's iconic as them. And maybe Superman and Batman
Thank you, Zack Snyder.
right. And maybe Superman and Batman aren't as iconic with the current generation if they don't release movies. Batman should always be okay because, you know, he's finally got his new movie. So people have been making lots of jokes about like how dark and edgy Batman is.
People got, but Batman's kind of been revived, but they should announce a Superman movie immediately.
Yeah, the Superman could really
wait, not what J.J. Abrams and Ta-Nehisi Coates are going to do. Like an actual Clark Kent Superman movie with Henry Cavill.
That'd be cool. Do you think it's too late to have really a Man of Steel sequel, or do you think they should just?
No, they could easily do it right now, and the hype would be really big.
That's a question. That's a question. We got the next conversation topic for us here.
Okay, for right now, let's do it.
We see what they did with Batman. We don't know if Ben Affleck's gone for sure, but right now
he'll come back for Zack Snyder.
Yeah, he's a little bit kind of hidden away right now. They decided to do a reboot for Batman. And they're
in its own continuity. That's what we're saying. There is room for other continuity stuff.
In his own continuity, but we also haven't seen Ben Affleck in a while on theatrical. We know he could come back. Since the Snyder Cut. They hit reboot. It was really successful. It was really cool. And people seem to enjoy it. Do you think, what direction will they take Superman? Do you think that when they start to use Superman again, will they have Henry Cavill do a sequel? Or do you think they'll just take the model of the Batman and do like a hard reboot with a new character?
They could do both.
But do you think they really could do both? Do you think consumers will be upset, just too confused with having two versions of Superman at once?
They weren't confused with having two Batmans at once.
How do we know? Because I mean, the truth is that Ben Affleck was really gone by the time that
no.
The other one.
The movie still came out.
Which one? The
Snyder Cut. And then the Batman still came out, and it still did very well.
To us, as Snyder Cut fans, the movie came out. To the average moviegoer, the general population,
the numbers indicate that more than us watched it.
There's more than us, but the general population did not see Snyder Cut. I believe. I don't think.
No, they did.
Not the same levels.
People watched it,
but not the same numbers that like see a theatrical release. There's not
because it wasn't a theatrical.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
It was during COVID at home.
Right. I bet a lot of people have seen it, but like in a lot of super fans and a lot of casual people, and a lot more than a streaming film would. But in terms of general population that goes to see a theatrical film, the last time they saw Ben Affleck Batman was in 2017's Justice League, and it's been 5 years.
My point is, lad, is that both movies came out, they were popular, so there is room for both.
They could do it, but like, we don't really know what the general population would think of having two of the
general population was fine with having three Spider-Man in one movie.
Spider-Man earned that. Spider-Man earned that through how they leveraged their position really well, that they were able to pull them together.
Saying if DC does that, they could. If the DC fixes it, they could definitely do it.
Do you think you would trust DC to try to pull something
Now off? I do.
If they did, maybe.
Now I do with this, the way Zaslav, yes. Yeah. Pre-merger, hell no.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking how like. Technically, for the very casual viewer, which a lot of people are casual viewers, Batman had been like a dead IP for the last 5 years, and that they basically just rebooted it with the Batman. Obviously we know, and a lot of people know, that Ben Affleck's still around. He's interested in doing stuff, but some people kind of see this as a reboot. And the truth is that it did come out, the Snyder Cut. But we don't know if Ben Affleck will come back, because maybe they just won't announce any more Snyder Cut stuff. Like this could just be like the end of Ben Affleck after the Flashpoint movie.
The indication of if Ben Affleck will come back is if Zaslav decides to bring Snyder back,
right?
Because that's the key. Because remember, Affleck was done playing Batman pre-Snyder Cut,
right?
But then he came back because Zach asked him to do the scene at the end of the nightmare scene.
Right, and he's looking very tired. And
looking very tired and very thin and everything. But
and they should have had a mustache edited on him or something like that.
That would be great. But and then he takes off a fake mustache. Yeah. But my point is that he'll come back for Zach. Yeah. All these characters will come back for Zach.
I agree with that. I think that's true. Yeah.
And I think that in terms of the Superman thing, I think they'll probably keep Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Because ultimately they can't bring in Tyler Hoechlin to play the movie Superman because he's a TV actor. You can't have that it's the same reason why I don't think they're going to bring in Grant Gustin.
Grant Gustin for the Flash. Let's go.
They're not going to do that.
It's happening. We're the Flash. You and us and the fans, we're the Flash. We're the Flash.
Hand me my trident real quick.
Exactly.
Yeah. My point is is that they're going to take whichever versions were popular, which is demonstrable that the Affleck version was popular. It's demonstrable that the Henry Cavill version was popular, and say it's our movie version.
Yeah.
Or they'll do other versions of it, like they could have a Balzad or like a Calvin Ellis Superman.
I actually did read about the the whole Flash Ezra Miller situation that we originally heard about. There was like a discussions about halting his projects and stuff like that, and apparently I believe another group, maybe Variety, reached out to Warner Brothers, and they actually replied back and said that no meeting happened. So technically, there was no meeting.
They're not going to replace him.
They're obviously not going to drop him from the movie, and there was no meeting to say like, wait, maybe we should get rid of this guy. But the thing is, a lot of people really did think that, and honestly, I think some people think they should. But I mean, obviously, Warner Brothers has to still be thinking like this guy is a little bit, Ezra is a little bit unpredictable at the moment.
They're going to use him sparingly. So same thing with Amber Heard. They're going to use her sparingly, particularly.
I'm surprised she's still.
It depends on what happens with this current case, because if she loses this current case, I think what they'll do, we'll stop seeing Mara. Her has Mara. They'll recast her, maybe like Emilia Clarke, which that would be dope. I think a lot of these people are going to be gone. Or in terms of the Flash, DC will go like, Wally West is here.
I think they could do Wally West. I mean, but the thing is, we'll see.
This is the character where they could do that.
We'll see. Maybe they can fix the Flash stuff. Grant Gustin is still the Flash to me. He's been the Flash for many years.
That's fine. You can have your version of the Flash. I'm just saying, in the movie universe, not going to work out.
Oh! Yeah.
But anyway, so what do you think? Is this popular? Is this possible where we are? I think it's possible to fix the things. I think it's possible to do that. In this way, like we said at the beginning of this episode, they can't do any worse.
Yeah, it'd be really hard to do worse, I think, unless you start doing Batman and Superman movies that are bad. Like, you actually make movies, but they're actually, like, really bad.
Batman Forever.
Yeah, like, I guess right now, leaving them dead in the water at the moment is kind of, like, as bad as it gets. And I don't think...
It's like DC's really in a holding pattern right now, trying to figure out what the hell do we do.
Yeah, I mean... The Flash movie being delayed past all, Shazam, Black Adam, Aquaman, I think is a good thing, because right now it's after all our current movies are being filmed. They can use it to do a soft reboot. Zaslav can use it as like, hey, we can, end, the end scene, we can film an extra scene at the end that shows up how the universe has changed. And they can use the Flash movie to really reset it, the universe. But not in the original way they were thinking.
At the end of it, they can kind of do what they did with the CW and Crisis on Infinite Earths, and like have a scene where like it gives you little vignettes of the different realities. Like, here's Snyder, here's this, here's that.
Yeah.
That way they can say that other realities exist and there's room for other realities.
Yeah.
But this timeline is rebooted. That's the way I could see them doing it. Because that was the one thing that was really good that they did with Crisis on Infinite Earths, that they showed that all these different varieties work.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's a good point.
Yeah, but the point is, I know I say this all the time, there's some news, but it's gonna be a good time to be a DC fan, because it looks like we're finally getting some solid leadership. It's about time that DC became its own thing, not under the thumb of Warner Brothers, because they have basically, since owning DC, shown that they don't know how to run DC. Mm-hmm. So at this point, that's why I say they can't do any worse, because now they're letting DC be DC.
Right.
That's the thing, and that's why Marvel Studios was so popular, because they let Marvel be Marvel.
Right, that's right.
Just let them do. These people are really good at creating content. Let them do their thing. Just tell them, okay, we need a Superman comic for this movie and stuff. Just basically coordinate it, but don't get involved in the creative. Mm-hmm. Leave it to the creatives. Mm-hmm. Anyway, any closing thoughts?
No, I hope we see something really cool from DC. Hopefully they fix their sinking ship and they can get it sailing again and move it faster than Marvel. It's definitely possible.
It's definitely not too late. And luckily, DC is a universe predicated on the reboot.
There's always the reboot.
This button actually works really well for DC.
Yeah, we need like a button like we have in the studio here, like a big red button, and it's like a reboot button. We're like,
it's the Watchmen button. It's not supposed to be Doomsday Clock.
Something like we could just be like, oh boy, I think this movie's going bad. Reboot, and we just like slam. It's like slam the button.
It would be so good as if Batman's like a bad movie. He goes, "Oh, this sucks." Reboot. There's a button in the back of it that says reboot.
and we have like a little siren go up in the room. The shutters come down.
It's like the portal opens and it just runs through the portal. Yeah. That would be great.
We can get a reboot.
That should be like an animated cartoon with it's basically like Batman breaking the fourth wall. I bet you're wondering why this crappy movie exists. Reboots.
Time for reboot.
It's the Bat Boot.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I think that's a good place to leave. We basically talked a lot about this subject. We have a lot of optimism for the future because we've been through the bad years, which would be anything from 2017 and on. We've been
really. I mean, Justice League.
Let me put it this way: there have been some good movies.
Right.
I'm not saying that it's all been hum and glum
because
there's been some great stuff like Aquaman, Shazam,
yes.
But in terms of a coherent universe, yes, it has been horrible.
Right? Yeah, it's been
since Justice League. And just think, if Warner Brothers had been patient with Snyder, they could have had a coherent movie universe that was built to reboot. Snyder was going to do the Flashpoint movie to reboot the universe, and it would have been done in 2020. No, we would have probably been now getting our first movie, the new timeline.
Yeah,
this proves that patience is important. That's why I always say wait for the whole story. That's why when the Snyder Cut came out, one more thing I'll say. In addition to Restore, the Snyderverse was trending. What was also trending was, I'm sorry, Zack Snyder, I was wrong. Because people were going back to his other movies and saying, I get it now. And just think, if you actually give a creative a chance to tell their story, guess what? That's why I'm optimistic with the Halo show, because they could do something really good.
Oh boy.
We'll see what happens. I'm still enjoying the Halo show. Just there are some creative decisions that I'm like, why? And where is all the action? All right, but anyway, that's off topic for this. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This was a great conversation, lads. Good to have you back, buddy.
No, it's great to be in the studio.
And trust me, when he's done with school, we'll be doing a lot more content in terms of like making sure to like keep you guys updated on our stuff. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I will see you in the next one. Stay at work, everyone. Bye-bye.
See ya.